Welcome everyone to this explainer. Whenever we hear about a massive corporate data breach, we kind of assume it was caused by some incredibly sophisticated, cinematic hacking tool, right? But honestly, more often than not, the firewall didn't fail, the encryption didn't fail, a human just clicked the wrong link, or maybe bypassed a rule just to get their job done. So today, we're setting the stage for why cybersecurity so routinely fails at the human level, and more importantly, how we can dive into the behavioral science to actually fix it.
All right, let's look at the agenda. Here is our roadmap. We'll start with a wild real-world case study, explore the psychology behind our daily security choices, reverse engineer an attack, map out a solid defense strategy, and finally, look at how we measure real, actual behavior change.
Section 1. The Signal Leak Incident, a case study in high-level human error.
Picture this scenario. Top U.S. officials, including the Secretary of Defense, are coordinating highly classified military strike details. We're talking launch times, weapons platforms, targets, the whole shebang. But they aren't in a secure bunker using encrypted government terminals. No, they are doing this right inside a standard consumer messaging app on their personal phones. But wait, here is the absolute craziest part of this whole event. The shocking punchline to using this unofficial channel is that their highly sensitive group chat accidentally included a journalist. An actual reporter was literally just sitting there, randomly receiving push notifications on their phone about an imminent military strike. Unbelievable, right? So what does this all mean? Well, it completely shatters the myth that technological failure is the primary culprit in security breaches. I mean, no technology failed here at all. The app's encryption worked exactly as designed. Instead, humans at the highest clearance level, people with maximum training, bypassed official channels simply because the secure processes had way too much friction. It proves that hierarchy provides zero protection against human error. Shadow IT happens at the absolute top when people prioritize convenience over cumbersome official procedure.
Moving on to Section 2, the psychology of security, why we make the choices we do.
To really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at protection motivation theory, or PMT. Originally developed back in the 1970s, this theory dictates that our protective behavior stems from two unconscious evaluations. First, the threat appraisal. We subconsciously pause and ask ourselves, how dangerous is this, really? And second, the coping appraisal, where we ask, can I actually do something about it? And honestly, is it worth the effort? Every single time an employee faces a security prompt, they're running this exact calculus right in their head.
Now here's the trap we often fall into. You absolutely cannot just crank up fear by highlighting vulnerability and severity on the threat side. You have to remember that unsafe behavior often carries a reward, like, say, saving time. If you want to change behavior, you must also lower the response cost on the coping side. Make the secure action easy, because if you create a massive amount of fear without providing an easy, low-cost coping mechanism, people just feel helpless, and that leads to a powerful psychological aha moment, denial. They literally just shut down and completely ignore the risk. And if we demand too much on that coping side, well, that leads us directly into security fatigue. This is a very real, recognized state of mental exhaustion caused by the sheer endless volume of daily security decisions. Update this, accept that, change your password, check this email. Eventually, this totally exhausts users into simply ignoring warnings or even disabling features entirely, just so they can actually get their work done. But it's not just about internal fatigue. There's a massive social element here too, which is explained by the theory of planned behavior. It shows that a person's individual attitude toward a security role is heavily swayed by subjective norms. Basically, what do the people around me think? If your team constantly mocks security, you're going to bend the rules. But if your boss visibly, consistently locks their screen every single time they stand up, wow, that role modeling becomes one of the most powerful practical security tools in your entire organization.
All right, Section 3, Anatomy of an Attack, Flipping the Psychological Dials.
Let's look at how an attacker uses this. A typical fake HR phishing email plays protection motivation theory in reverse. It's almost like an illusionist's magic trick. First, it suppresses your threat appraisal by looking completely familiar and professional. Second, it creates intense urgency, like threatening to delay your payroll, so that pausing to verify feels incredibly costly. And third, it makes the unsafe action perfectly easy by providing one convenient, clickable link. The attacker seamlessly lowers your response costs for doing the exact wrong thing. When analyzing who exactly exploits these vulnerabilities, we have to realize the threat isn't just external guys in hoodies executing social engineering. Security must consider insider threat profiles. We're talking about the frustrated employees seeking revenge on their way out, industrial spies, the well-meaning whistleblower, service providers with supply chain access, and even your own administrators who already hold the keys to the kingdom. Basically, access combined with motivation equals risk.
Section 4. Building the defense strategy. Creating a resilient security culture. Let's see how we fix this. Information security rests on a golden triangle: technology, processes, and people. You can absolutely buy and configure technology, and you can define and control processes. But the people corner? That requires a totally different management approach. You simply cannot buy awareness. People must be constantly sensitized and educated. If you have world-class technology but untrained people, you end up with the exact signal leak pattern we talked about earlier.
This brings us to the NIST learning continuum for your people. You can't treat all education the same. Awareness gives your team the what, allowing them to recognize a threat which is testable with a simple true-false quiz. Training gives them the how, building actual skills tested through problem solving, like a simulated phishing test. Education, though, gives them the why. It provides deep understanding so they can adapt and interpret totally novel situations.
So, how do you actually execute this? Look at how policies flow downhill in an information security management system pyramid. Up at the top, management writes a lofty policy. But let's be honest with ourselves. Employees do not read policies. To actually change behavior, you must translate that rigid top layer all the way down into the everyday procedures, guidelines, and handbooks at the base. That bottom layer is where actual awareness happens and where employees interact with security on a daily basis.
This absolutely means ditching the one-size-fits-all approach for your audience. Management needs training focused on their role model function, risk, and costs. Your everyday users, they just need highly practical tips for email, devices, and social engineering. Meanwhile, your technical staff need highly specific protocols for secure configuration and incident handling. The training must strictly match the specific daily realities of the role.
Finally, Section 5. Measuring real behavior change. Outcomes over activity. Let's figure out if it's working.
There is a massive difference between activity metrics and actual behavior KPIs. So many organizations measure success by looking at completely useless activity metrics like course completion rates or the number of simulated emails sent. Frankly, bragging about course completion rates just measures effort. True behavioral KPIs look at actual impact. Things like the real time it takes an employee to hit the report button, or how click rates trend over a long period.
And hey, if you start tracking those behavioral KPIs and the metrics actually look bad, take a breath. Don't immediately jump to punishing your employees. You have to diagnose the actual problem first. Worsening click rates might just mean your simulated attacks have gotten much more sophisticated. Or actually, perhaps there's a severe language barrier preventing true understanding of the training material. You've got to look for the root cause before completely adjusting your program.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to help you evaluate your own organization's approach. Take a hard look at your security program and ask yourself, are you just measuring clicks, course completions, and basic compliance? Or are you truly doing the psychological and educational work required to build a resilient security culture? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.